Let's come to an understanding. 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 I said, let's come to an understanding. 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 Let's come to
and live, baby.
Back up in that ass. We're back. Let's come to an understanding. All right.
Yeah.
Quarantine edition. And it's just the boys. Just the boys.
Just the boys. That's it.
No guests.
That's the basics. No guests today. We got a lot of shit to talk. We got a lot of politics to catch up on. And that's it. The viewers need it. The listeners
You know
need
what? Amish messaged me privately. Okay. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes we correspond mano a mano.
We got to plan the show.
One-on-one. I guess mano a mano works because it's texting. That is how we talk.
It is mano a mano, and it's we got to write the show.
But you know, Amish, he hit me up and he said, Drew, we have all these guests on, but we're just talking about, like, you know, this, that, and the third. And Amish says to me, he says, Drew, now what's that got to do with the price of tea in China, right? And I said, Patelis, I heard it once, heard 1,000 times. We're gonna give it. We'll give him the politics. We'll give him the politics.
We got to give him the politics. What
People
does that
come
have
to this?
Dude, that's an incredible saying. Where did you get that? Dude, you're so educated.
I've heard that saying before. I'll tell you something though. I have no idea what it means. And then I'll tell you something else that I love though.
It's so sophisticated. What do you mean? That's the smartest shit, dude. That's smart. I think it's tight. Oh, you're doing it as like a joke dumb thing. Because I think, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? I think it says a lot. In these times, I think it says a lot.
Right, but it's also the name of an album of this rapper, Boldy James. This Detroit rapper, Boldy James, just released an album this year.
This year?
What does
that have to do?
No, it's called The Price of Tea in China.
Oh, wow.
From Boldy James.
Boldy.
So it has a dual meaning. You know what I mean? It's not just one thing.
It says you're worldly. It says you're concerned with world politics. It's it's high level thinking here. It's New York Times thinking.
The expression comes from something that is irrelevant or unimportant, usually used to emphasize the lack of relationship of a non sequitur.
Right. Okay. But if you're using that as your go-to, it says you're concerned with world politics. You're concerned with the culture, the community, New York Times subscription. It means you're on top of it. And that's what we are. And let's come to an understanding. Hey, we care about the culture. We look into the politics and we want to come to an understanding on it.
So anyway, do you want to start with China then, Amish, since you're all revved up to talk about
very hazy
politics?
On the facts. But I did want to mention
that's what I love. You had a week of knowing you wanted to talk about politics, but you didn't necessarily go out there and read the shit you had to.
Oh wow, really? Is this the attack?
You just said that's not the attack.
I know
I'm just saying.
Is going to be an attack.
You just
episode.
said. I said, do you want to talk about China?
Okay.
And then your immediate rebuttal is, very hazy on the facts. So you're already coming in hot, being like, I didn't prepare. The dog ate it.
No. I've prepared. Don't worry about that. I wanted to mention that juicy mustache. I wanted to give you a shout out for a second. I wanted to say, hey, before we get to the politics, let's talk about that juicy stash. Because when this all ends, Drew's going to need a baby girl.
Can you guys, I just want to,
Drew needs love, babies.
Pause on that for a second. Can you hear it? Can you hear it on the mic? Is that coming through?
Yeah, we hear that.
Send us DMs if you hear the stash. Yeah, it's been growing. It's
hitting that ASMR crowd, eh?
The frothy stash.
That's a frothy stash, dude. That's getting frothy. And I think that could go viral in the ASMR community. I don't want to go crazy or anything, but I'm just saying.
The mustache on the Logitech.
Yeah.
The mustache on the Logitech.
We're going to get a bunch of listeners, and they're just going to be like, hey, more mustache. Hey, we don't care about politics, maybe. But you know what?
It's gonna be let's come to an understanding, uncut and after dark. More mustache, more froth.
More stash, more froth.
More froth.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we talked about it. I'm ready to get into it, dude.
Well, you sent me an interesting. You sent me a little bit of Lou Dobbs tonight. You sent me a YouTube clip from Lou Dobbs tonight.
Fox
which,
News host.
As regular listeners will know, I believe he's Fox Business. I don't think he's. I don't even think he has a distinction. He used to be on CNN. You know, 1 year for Christmas. Oh, no, not Christmas. Halloween. I get them confused. One year for Halloween. I got my friend Fahad. Shout out to Fahad Abdul Husseini, great artist. I got him to make me a mask of Lou Dobbs, and I was Lou Dobbs for Halloween. Nobody knew who he was. They're like, "Who are you?" I was like, "I'm Lou Dobbs." I was probably like 13 years old. That's the kind of lunatic I was as a 13-year-old.
Dude, you're meant to be a politics guy. You know what I'm saying?
But anyway.
I like that you're in this track. You got this headset on. It's like you're a sports announcer, but we're talking about politics. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I'm like the coach of the Indianapolis Colts right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to win a Super Bowl.
You do look like it with the stash too. It's really adding to that look.
Yeah. But anyway, Lou Dobbs on Fox Business was talking to a rep. Speaking of Indianapolis, a congressman from Indiana, Representative Jim Banks, who wants who's putting it out there. All right, he's saying, listen, it's time that America starts dealing with the facts of reparations, and China needs to pay us for coronavirus. So China needs to give America reparations because, listen, this country has avoided reparations for too long now. And if anyone's gonna come up and say, let's just deal with this for once and for all. Yeah. It's a Republican congressman from Indiana.
Who brought up
the state that was the home of the rebirth of the Ku Klux Klan. So thank you, Jim Banks, for finally making reparations a priority of the Republican Party. Wow. I never thought in my lifetime I would see a Republican bringing up the issues of reparations.
I knew you'd love that. I knew that
coronavirus.
Inspirational. I knew that you'd find it inspirational and you'd get very excited about that. I said, you know what? He'll love this. I tuned out for a second, and when I just heard them talking about like the way that he set up the sentence. He's like, you know, sometimes you have to pay the price for the people you've hurt, for the lives lost. You got to pay the price for that. And I was like, and I looked over and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's got some radical on. And then he goes, so that's why we need reparations on China. Make China pay. I really thought. I just tuned out for a second. I was like, these Fox guys are going wild right now, dude. Fox News is getting the COVID, dude. I was like, what is he talking about? He's going to get fired.
Here's what I love about it, though. He was like talking about his daughters, and he was like, you know, my daughter's generation, all of them under 10 years old, you know, and they're going to be paying for this for years to come.
Yeah.
Because of the Chinese. Buddy, a kid your daughter's age in China right now is making the vaccine that you're going to be using to test whether or not you have the COVID. We're talking about your daughter's generation. The kids in China's generation, they're more fucked. Way more fucked. Jimmy?
Yeah. And a big part of this is the capitalist system that you over there peddle at the Fox News. They're peddling this capitalism. They support this takeover of like another country kind of in that way. Like they need this cheap labor force. We live on this cheap labor force, and we basically put up with a dictator government there just because we're like, well, I need my Walmart. Like I need my cheap. So yeah, no, that is interesting. They're going to start. It's weird. You think that at Fox, because Tucker Carlson was starting to face that a little bit. Tucker Carlson was looking a little sympathetic to like, we need to do more about this. But then these other
he has an angle. I swear that guy has an angle. I don't trust him.
He's always got an angle, eh? But one guy, did you see the guy? I love the person early on that came in just being like, let some old people die. Come on. Don't kill the economy.
That was the lieutenant governor of Texas, who himself is like 70.
He's 70, but he's rich, dude. He's saying, hey, don't kill the economy. Let a couple of old people die. I'm old and I'm willing to die. Dude, You're willing to die. You're not going to die. He's rich. He's in a mansion. He's talking about like the average person who would support something like that. They could die.
Well, here's something I thought was really rich, too, about the whole thing. So you have this guy, Jim Baker, this congressman from Indiana, pretty much saying like, and listen, if China doesn't want to just do it with us one-on-one, we'll go to the UN, all right? We're going to go through an international body, and there's conventions there that'll allow us to, like, he had this thing of like, if they don't comply, we can start pumping our media to them in Taiwan, and I'm like, so what, you're good? It sounds like you're trying to like provoke some sort of a conflict with China, which
mhm.
is like really one of the last things that the world needs right now, you idiot.
Yeah,
But on
yeah, no,
top of that,
that's
he's saying he wants to go to the UN. Today, his president, Donald Trump, said, you know what, World Health Organization, too much in the bag for China. We're cutting the funding. We're cutting the funding. We're
he said
cutting the funding. And it's literally during a pandemic. He's like, I don't like how they've been handling it. You know what? Got to teach them a lesson. Maybe they'll catch my drift.
oh
Cutting the
my
funding.
God.
And he also said that
Dude.
he's a major contributor. And then I was reading an article on Forbes. The U.S. contributes about 1/6 of the World Health Organization's total budget,
Oh
like
my
less than 1/6.
God.
Here's another. I have some stats. Can I throw some stats at you here?
You to do it, baby. You got it. Great homework.
The World Health Organization, the annual budget. This is the same article in Forbes. About 4.8 billion annually for the past year. It's been going up
Wow.
steadily, like by a couple hundred mil every year. But that was the last year's budget. They said that's similar, about on par to the annual budget for a large U.S. hospital.
Come on, man.
That's the World Health Organization.
And that's 1/6 of it. So
Yeah,
there's
the American organization for this, the one who's also, I don't know, weren't really up and out front about this either. The CDC, 6.8 billion. That's just for the states. The CDC.
wow. So the World Health, yeah, like a world organization, it only exists if the superpower gives them a bunch of money. They're not. Where's their money going to come from?
And
They
they
don't.
said, and they
I remember
said,
seeing a thing where this guy was talking about world organizations. They're just run by like, it's like there's nobody in. They're just there. They like barely hold on because like
well,
who's
they're saying that's really underfunded for
yeah.
one, and then for two, sorry, it's really underfunded, and
In the
I
bag
just
for
lost my train of
China.
thought.
In the bag for China.
Well, they're not in the bag for China. I was
They're a
listening to a bit of
front
Rogan today.
organization for China.
I was listening to a bit of Joe Rogan today, and he was
Right.
saying he thought that they were sitting on the information and giving out improper guidelines back in January or something, saying that it wasn't communicable among humans. I don't know if I think he might need to say some hazy on the facts, though. I need to verify that
Hey,
personally.
look, I know that you're mad, and maybe we can move on to the Bill Maher video that you sent me. I know you're mad because there is a racist outlash against Asian Americans, but Xi Jinping is vicious. Like,
I'm not saying Xi Jinping isn't vicious.
mhm.
No, that's not even what I'm talking about. Joe Rogan was saying some stuff about the WHO dropping the ball earlier on in regards to coronavirus.
So the thing that I heard, and this is Steve Bannon on Fox, so take it with a grain of salt, but he's basically saying the World Health Organization has effectively acted as a front organization for the Chinese government because he's basically like, they got some bullshit information from China and they just ran with it. Like they should, but you know what? It seems like an honest mistake. I'm not going to give him that doubt on the World Health Organization because it's a bureaucratic. Look, we all did this, man. Hey, I partied that Saturday night. I feel like an idiot too. So you know what? The World Health Organization back then, they probably just were like, it's probably going to be nothing. And then they are everyone seems like they're playing catch up because people just assume that something like this isn't just going to happen. You know, like it's hard to imagine that we're going to go through hardships, you know, and like life is going to change for us because we've had it so good maybe.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Atlantic is putting out an article saying how China deceived the WHO. All right.
Yeah. No, I saw that one because and that's why Steve Bannon is like they're
that's
acting
coming
as
from
a
the
front.
Atlantic. Yeah.
That's from the Atlantic, dude. No, they like these world organizations.
But China deceiving the WHO and the WHO, not being a vital organization that could maybe have more funding to look into things and verify China's numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so Trump maybe give him some money so they can
I don't know.
verify it.
All I can say is it doesn't seem like the reason to actively get out of this is to start cutting funding to the World Health Organization. To me, that doesn't seem like the fix.
No. The World Health Organization, like, basically he's being like a bully. Like, he is such a tough guy like that. The amount of things that, and Republicans do this. Remember when Mitt Romney even was like, I'm going to cut PBS. I cut it down. I'm government doesn't pay for some TV shows or whatever. And then in the end, everyone did these studies and they're like, PBS is so good for America. Or maybe it was NPR, but like, they kind of just do that. They hate government organizations, I guess.
Here, let me read you a quote from this Atlantic article, okay?
Tell me.
This guy says, in any case, it's not the WHO's fault if China obscured the problem early on, says Charlie Clift, a senior consulting fellow at Chatham's House Center for Universal Health, who worked at the WHO from 2004 to 2006. Quote, we'd like more transparency, that's true, but if countries find reasons to not be transparent, it's difficult to know what we can do about it. The organization's major structural weakness is that it relies on information from its member countries, and the WHO team that visited China in February to evaluate the response did so jointly with China's representatives. That resulting report did not mention delays in information sharing, but did say that, quote, China's bold approach to contain the rapid spread of this new respiratory pathogen has changed the course of rapidly escalating the deadly epidemic. The mission came back telling reporters that they were largely satisfied with the information China was giving them. Okay, so I mean, how do you solve that? You know what I mean? You have to deal with China. I mean, that's honestly, I just said, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? That has to do with the price of tea in China.
Dude,
right there, okay? That's
everything right now is the price of tea in China. Everything has to do with that because we are all connected. And that's what COVID's showing us. COVID's saying, dude, I just got off of a meeting with a bunch of brown actors. Okay.
Yeah.
And even in the meeting, I was telling them, like, COVID, Mother Earth is saying, hey, you should have got together before, you losers. But now what are you doing? Oh, now you're all lonely, so you're getting together. That's how you're supposed to live. You're not supposed to live just destroying the planet and being a sociopath for yourself.
Did you plug the podcast in that group meeting?
Of course I did.
Okay, good.
Dude, and good context in there.
You threw out the Instagram?
Of course.
God bless you. Okay, well.
They were roasting me for it, too.
Listen, China's clearly been sitting on numbers. China's clearly been deceiving people. China is like a dictatorship. It's an autocratic, authoritarian regime. Like we're not pro-China. However, I will say the Trump calling it China virus, and I'm very disappointed to see a bunch of comedians.
Bill Maher.
Well, Bill Maher. Local Toronto comedians who drink a bit too much on Instagram without naming names. Let's say Tim Dillon, even a comic I think is really good. And
is Tim Dillon saying that too?
Well, people saying, okay,
he's wild though. He says anything.
Let me just say, here's such like a bullshit. Even Rogan, not surprising, like such a bullshit like kind of straw man argument of the left is going to lose because they're caught up in the semantics of calling it Chinese virus or whatever. Who cares what you call it? Da-da-da-da-da. All right, first of all, mostly only people I'm seeing making this bold claim are like white guys, like secure white guys who can kind of make these comments from a house where they're not, dealing with the brunt of it. And then you see Bill Maher saying, every virus gets named after its place. You know what I mean? Every virus gets named after its place. West Nile, named after West Nile. Zika, named after the Zika River. You have MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, right? Sure.
Then he says Lyme in Lyme, Iowa, and I was like, oh.
Lyme, Connecticut.
Lyme, Connecticut.
Yeah, but okay. If he hadn't said that, would you have known that, right? If he hadn't said Lyme disease was named after Lyme, Connecticut, would you know that?
I wouldn't know that.
Exactly. If you didn't know Zika River was named after Zika River, would you know that?
No. And
No.
like
exactly.
I'm with you on like we can just stop calling it that.
Here's my point. It does matter because for example, anything that happens out of the States, swine flu, which we call H1N1, which came out of the States, right? Came out of processing meat and pigs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
What does that refer to? Is it called the American pork virus? No.
I see what you're saying.
Mad cow, which came out of the UK. Was it called the British bovine epidemic?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. So it is racialized, and it is does have a cast put upon it.
Yeah.
And the fact
when it's from the white man's country, they blame it on the animal. Then they just blame it on the animal. They're like mad cow and like
Right. But the
yeah.
thing is also, especially once it's already been referred to as coronavirus and COVID-19, right? To have a
Yeah.
guy actively calling it Chinese virus
Dude,
at a
they're
time when
being-
Asian Americans are being, there's videos of people on the train in New York City,
yeah.
Asian women in the subways in New York getting beaten up by young men, okay? Getting beaten up by young men. And you want to keep perpetuating Chinese virus. So it's very disheartening to see
Yeah.
comedians who should know better and be a little bit more intellectually savvy.
But dude,
and like,
Trump says it like a flex, man. He just starts his conferences with like, so today we're gonna talk about the Chinese virus. Okay, so what we're doing today is hydrochloroquine is something that we're like. He's basically going into his press conferences being defiant about that. And then he had this
exactly.
weird drug thing, like where he's selling a drug and saying that it's going to cure it.
Yeah, whatever. Listen, I don't even want to get into him because the thing
Right.
is, what's bothering me about this whole thing is you have these comedians, right? Because we're comics. This is why I want to talk on that, because you have like a Bill Maher and you have a Tim Dillon and you have a Joe Rogan or whatever defending the president's use of the term when it is actually harmful to people and it is actually causing discrimination. And don't look at it because it's this is the thing that's like they're only speaking to their audience who wants to find a reason to get mad at liberals or people on the left or whatever
Yeah.
like that. That is not the reason why you shouldn't say that. And they're trying to talk to the same group of like, you know, generally white middle class listeners.
Yeah, like why?
That they're having this little salon thing, this little salon game. But listen, for a lot of people,
Yeah,
it's
who
not
does
a
that
game.
appeal to? Who does
It's
that
not
appeal
a game for a woman in New York City who's being chased in the subway by some guys who are trying to beat the shit out of her because she's Asian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's fucked up, man.
Like it's
I
not a
mean,
game.
he doesn't see that. I don't think he gets it. He's just like, but I saw the video and I was like, that is, I was not expecting that. Like in New York, I did not think that was happening. I had no idea that this was happening to Asian Americans, man, that they were being attacked like that.
Another thing, let me just say this. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off,
No, go
but
for
I
it.
will. I don't want to, but I will. Here's another point on that. They bring up the fact that it's like, you know, in these countries where people eat bat and where people eat all these exotic animals commonly,
Yeah.
for one, again, it's regional. I don't know. Are people all over China? Is everyone in China eating bat all the time? I don't know. Right? I would have to say probably not everybody. I'm sure more often than they are in Indianapolis. You know,
Yeah.
in Wuhan, people probably eat bat a little bit more often than in Indianapolis.
Hey, as a vegetarian, I don't see the difference, man. You guys all eat cows and pigs over here. I don't discriminate. I'm like, what's the difference? As a vegetarian, I think you're all animals.
Exactly.
As a vegetarian, I think you're all savages. I don't care.
Exactly, but exactly. This is my point, though. Why put it on the bat, right? Sure, the bat carries a lot of these. Bill Maher was citing a study that it's a ticking time bomb because bats carry a lot of these coronaviruses, right? However, swine flu that came from you know, commercial hog farming. You know what I mean? Mad cow. It came from another part of the meat industry.
Yeah, and it
Like,
came from them being savages, man. It comes from them being shitty and cruel to the animals and being like just nasty about it. Like it comes from the same negative place. So this judgment on that side is not fair. I agree with you.
The total lack of self-awareness coming from these like really smug comics right now is I don't know. It's putting me over the edge.
Yeah, I haven't seen any comics. The president. Dude, the president's opening his press conference and defiantly like, so when we're working on
I got to tell you something about Donald
Chinese
Trump.
virus.
I got to tell you something about Donald Trump.
Tell me.
I think he's a lost cause.
You don't think we're going to get him?
I don't think we're going to get him.
You don't think
I don't think we're going to get him. No. I think he's a lost cause.
If I could come to an understanding on this, though, I honestly think with the virus, yeah, he's going to a negative place. I don't see the point of the Bill Maher rant where he was like ranting against like liberals for not saying Chinese virus. I don't agree with him. I think change the name, or not even change the name. It's not even called Chinese virus, but change
Most
the name
people don't
in
call
general.
it Chinese
No
virus.
one does. No one calls it that. Like he
And
just
it
made it
is.
up.
And if you see something that's, if you know, if Trump was calling it the coon flu or something like that, would Bill Maher be like, hey, well, wait a minute? Or if he was calling it like the black, say it came from Harlem, the Harlem,
Oh, the Black Mamba's here. Oh God.
yeah, the
It's
Black
like,
Mamba,
hey.
yeah, the Harlem sneeze. They're calling it the Harlem sneeze. You know what I mean? Oh, because it
What
came
if
from
we?
Harlem.
I think we
Would
should
that
name it
not
after.
kind of put a little bit of a racial
That's a little bit.
underpinning on
That's a
it, though?
lot.
You know
That's
what
a
I mean?
lot. That's a lot. But here's the thing, man. Change the name, attack the country. That's my attitude. Change the name, but we got to do something about China. Maybe we got to do something. They
Yeah,
fucked
but
us,
this is,
dude. They
but these,
fucked us. The
sure,
country.
sure,
I'm talking
sure.
about Xi Jinping. I'm talking about Xi Jinping. He's a dictator. He's destroying their lives, dude. I get accused of being a Hindu nationalist on this very show all the time.
You
For
do, and you will continue
for
to be
what?
accused of such, and you
For
will
what?
continue to be
Why?
accused of such.
Why? Because I want to defend my people. Because I want to defend them. Because China has annexed Tibet. They've walked into
Free
dude.
Tibet, free
Great
Tibet.
Tibet, dude. 80,000 square kilometers of Indian land, dude. They rolled in on 1972. They didn't go back. And I'm talking to my cousin.
Let's
He's
talk
telling me that
about it.
Modi is more powerful than Xi Jinping. I said, dude. I said, baby. Xi Jinping. If Modi's more powerful than China, if we're more powerful than China, how come they walked in 72 and slapped everyone around? And they kept it, dude.
Okay, I want to get to that in a second, but
And they kept it. We got to do something.
one thing the Chinese and the Indians can, one thing at least Xi Jinping and Narendra Modi can get on board with, don't like the Muslims. Okay, they have this
Oh.
one shared sensibility. But I will say, here's another thing I just want to bring up because I
Tell
saw
me.
this article come from The Intercept. As recently as April 7th,
Okay.
Haitians currently residing in the United States are being deported back to Haiti during the coronavirus epidemic.
What? Who's picking them up? It's quarantine.
ICE.
The pickup. Yeah. Okay, ICE has to go home right now. Hey, ICE, you're not working right now.
ICE is on the clock.
How is ICE on the clock? They don't have any funding.
Which they're saying is like such an irresponsible thing to do, to be deporting people who might have had it, because they're people who are in detention centers. So
even
they're people
for
who are
ICE.
in close proximity. They're taking people in close proximity and then deporting them back to a country with weak infrastructure and like poor medical preparedness to deal with the
best thing to
crisis.
do there is nothing. Just leave it. Hey, because the ICE officers, you could get it now. What the fuck, man?
Yeah, so they're deporting people back to Haiti. Well, it's just dangerous. I mean, so Haiti had a cholera outbreak in the past decade that killed 10,000 people.
No,
right?
And I understand that, but I want to really appeal to that right-wing audience out there and just say, don't even worry about them. You're spending too much money on this. Like all the dumb shit they do, it's like it just sounds like billions of dollars. Like all the wars, all the fuck, and then this shit. Like, what a waste of money, man. A bunch of ICE workers, like they're all getting paid like at least $50,000 a year, at least American, and they're getting double pay.
American. I like how you say, and that's USD.
That's USD, dude. 50,000, 100,000 USD.
Can I just say something? When you get paid American money, though, when you live in the United States of America, there's no exchange rate benefit. It doesn't really it doesn't really read as a bump.
They don't need it, dude. They're on top. Dude, it is but you know what though? That's funny, but it is a bump because in America, no tax, baby, everything's cheap. Have you ever noticed that?
That's
America
not true.
is
it depends
built.
Where you are.
It depends where you are. There's very low
state.
tax rates, but because we would go to shopping in Buffalo, and my parents were like, "Holy shit, they don't," and you can see it in the streets. They don't charge tax in a lot of places. Some places were like,
you can see it in the streets that they don't charge tax. Yes,
they don't charge the tax, dude, and that's an issue. And anyway,
you can see it in some people's teeth that they don't charge a lot of tax.
You can see it in this corona treatment right now. These corona numbers, woo! America, man.
But that brings me to a point that the reason I wanted to bring up the Haiti thing and the Chinese virus thing and all this stuff is because Bernie Sanders is out as a potential Democratic nominee.
So sad.
He's endorsed Joe Biden at this point. And I have friends of mine who, you call me some communist, lefty, whatever. You attack me. I'm just gonna bring up your attack.
Okay, you're a commie.
You
You're a
think
commie.
you
Yeah,
think I
well.
want to put people in gulags and
Hey, man.
reappropriate their wealth? That's not entirely true. But I would like to say I have friends who are complete Bernie or bust who are like, you know what? Why would I vote for Biden? It's the same as voting for Donald Trump. No, it is not. That is a selfish thing to do. That is a selfish move. Voting for Joe Biden is not the same as voting for Donald Trump. Case in point, I can almost guarantee you under Joe Biden, you would not be getting these Haitians deported back to Haiti in the middle of a pandemic. All
Yeah,
right?
the
You
strategy.
would not be getting the president saying the Chinese virus repeatedly, and
No,
stoking
Biden
and
would say
further
that once,
inciting.
maybe twice, and it would be like, sorry. Biden would apologize. He would say it.
Biden would say it because he forgot what it was and he knew it kind of came from China. It
It
wouldn't be
would be a
deliberate.
genuine. We would all be like, hey, he's chill. He wouldn't be like flexing on it like Trump is right
Yeah.
now. He's so mean the way he says it.
Even if he's slow and like half in the grave, listen, still better. All right.
Drew says, get in line.
Politics is pragmatism. Politics is pragmatism at the end of the day.
That's wise. Okay, fair. I think a lot of them want to give the Democratic Party a spanking. They want to give a little spanking, Drew. They want to say, fuck you guys, man. You fucked us, didn't you? Again. You fucked with our candidate again.
But again,
so,
here's my thing.
You're going to fucking lose then.
Here's my thing, and I'm being very serious right now. I'm getting really tired of, like, you know, middle class, upper middle class, progressive type of people who, you know, where a lot of their activism is based on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
I'm getting a little tired of them putting their ego into voting for the president when it does have a material effect on other people's lives. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it's gonna have like a severe material effect. Where if Donald Trump or Joe Biden's a president, it might not affect your life so much. It's going to definitely affect other people. My friend's brother's Iranian, okay? He worked for a company in Vancouver. They got sold to another company in Seattle. He was going to move for work, couldn't go because of the Trump travel bans.
Oh, my God.
Lost his job.
Oh, my God.
Fired because of the Trump travel bans. The company wanted to bring him, but they said, oh, we can't. And we're moving operations. So it does affect people, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying, if Joe Biden is the president, does that happen to my friend's brother? No. I don't think so. No. I don't think that happens to him.
Good point.
So you know, Joe Biden, Trump appoints the heads of all these agencies. The EPA is head, you know what I mean? The people who control the post office, which they're now trying to privatize, right?
Yeah.
Like it matters who it is.
That's why even Joe.
You're not going to get everything.
Yeah.
You want to have some semblance of like a normal society and a functioning society.
No, and that's what Bernie Sanders is doing too. Bernie Sanders said it. He said it right away. He said, like, we got to get behind him. And he said this sentiment before where it's like, well, you know, like, we can't let Trump just go. But then they're so mean to him after, too. They're just so shitty, man. How are we going to fix them, though?
Well, this is the thing.
They're very nasty.
It's like you have to appeal. You're talking about like the left on Twitter and Instagram?
I'm talking about the Democratic Party, man. They didn't do him right. And I see what you're saying, the pragmatism, but at the same time, how do we teach them a lesson and make sure, like, you're not going to do this again?
I agree with you, though. Listen,
like AOC's taking it next time, and that's it, you fucks.
She's
AOC?
not. She still won't be old enough. But
like that level, though.
Here's
of leftiness. I'm talking about. We'll
also see what happens. Listen, she needs to get. She's being primaried for her congressional seat in New York right now. So she needs to get through
I'm talking about from
anything.
That crew. There needs to be a president. It's what the people want. Fine, Bernie got old and he had to leave. It's fine. He's going to back the next person and mentor them, and they look up to him. Man, Bernie was the fucking truth, man. He was incredible, and they fucked with him, and people are mad about that. I think in about 2 or 3 weeks, everyone's going to be like, okay, we'll just vote for Biden. I think it'll be 2-3 weeks. You know, you got to give them a minute. They're mad. And I get it, man. They fucked with Bernie, dude. They did, and they did it twice, and they shit on him after, dude. They're so mean to him. Like, what the fuck? He made his statement. He said, I know Joe Biden's a good guy and whatever. All these news outlets are like, Bernie hasn't done enough. Like, come on, man. He just said, he fucking said the whole thing. Obama's old, like the guy who ran Obama's campaign, fuck, I forgot his name.
David Axelrod.
Axelrod tweeted at him. He's like, Bernie, it wasn't enough though. And it's like, can you chill, dude? I get it, you fucking sociopaths. You got to keep
on both
it in
sides.
the
Yeah,
system.
on both sides. I mean, listen, I'm just
be nice to him,
I'm
man.
just closer to the further left part of what would be the Democratic Party politically, right? I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Canadian, but sorry.
Neither of us are. Why are we talking about it? Because we're living in your empire. You control the fucking planet, so we got to talk about your shit.
We're vassals. We are vassals. And
we are vassals.
Listen, I know how to read, and I'm not deaf. So let's.
New York Times is Babylon.
Let's make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah, but listen, you got to even the scandal came out of the UK how members of the Labour Party were working to undermine Jeremy Corbyn, right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want him to be the leader, so they were working to undermine efforts of the party in order to take down the leadership. This happens.
Really, and that is the rich. That is that late capitalism, man. It's these rich people. They've clawed in too much of a control. There's too much lobbying. There's too much money in politics, and this fight just looks so hard at this point, And it really is so sad to see a guy like Bernie, them do that to him twice now, because he represented that, and until he came in and started saying what he started saying, to an American, it was like, what do you like? It blows up their brain because they have so much of this goddamn Red Scare propaganda. It's traumatized them. It put them in the Cold War. It made them go to war with Vietnam. They are committed to this thing of like, we can't become a communist, and for so much of their history. So now, like, we're talking, this is 2 presidencies now where they just fucked with them. And England did the same thing too after World War II. I don't know. They just got into this, like, if we go right way, if we get health care. Like, this is the same reason why they don't have healthcare. They use the same kind of propaganda.
Well, the UK. What do you mean? The UK has healthcare.
No, the UK has healthcare. I'm talking about in the US. I'm talking about like that right wing mentality. When they hear words like Bernie, they start going crazy. Like, they think like communism's going to be here tomorrow.
Well, no, I think it's changing though. I mean, listen. I don't know if I agree with you fully. Yeah, it's been a big part because of that movement. And I said this. You know what? I'm really happy. I feel vindicated. And if there's one thing I like in life, it's to feel vindicated. The fact that I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, I just watched the CNN, special about presidential elections, and they did the LBJ Barry Goldwater 1964 election.
Okay.
And the takeaway from that, was that Barry Goldwater didn't win, but he was the indicator for how the Republican Party would develop in the years to come. Yeah. And people said that he got elected with Ronald Reagan in 1980, 14 years later. Right. So I would just say, I feel like this Bernie Sanders moment and Ocasio-Cortez and all this kind of changes that are happening in the Democratic Party as it currently stands, they will manifest in the next decade or so. And I think we're already starting to see that with
Corona is a backdoor to communism. Is that what you're saying?
Not Corona's a backdoor to communism, but I think we're already starting to see that in the way younger people and younger voters. The problem is young people just don't vote. If you wanna boil it down to anything, listen, my generation.
You think Bernie had the numbers? You think like?
I think they share a sensibility, but to get motivated and go out to the polls and stuff like that, a lot of young people are fucking shitheads, and they're not gonna. The fact that all it really takes is like, a couple hours out of your day once.
It's going to affect you the most because those old people, they're all voting, but they're going to die in 5-10 years. You're going to be alive for all of it. And like, these are pivotal times, and like, you got to get out and vote, man. It's important. Yeah.
But the thing is, once these values kind of, unless people shift, and I mean, there's a possibility.
But people get older, they become more responsible. Like, young people are just, it's always been like,
but I'm saying you could become more responsible, and the values that you hold today might not be the values you hold in 5 years. You know what I mean? So that is definitely a possibility, but I think that this has been kind of like an indicator. And the reason I say I feel vindicated is the Atlantic I read 2 articles where they mentioned this Goldwater to Reagan analogy.
Wow, and
I
the
was like,
documentary on this specific topic. That's great.
Well, they didn't. Well, I saw the documentary. I had the independent thought. Then I read these 2 Atlantic articles. They're parroting my ideas. So
And they
all I'm
are
saying was I ahead of the curve. Maybe was
Okay.
the show
Okay.
ahead of the curve. Maybe listen to the show. Tell your friends. Subscribe.
Let's
Okay,
come to an
subscribe and
understanding.
share. Subscribe and share.
These are incredible insights. Basically, yeah, like the highest in the industry.
The highest.
You're right
what?
there. The opinions.
Yeah, oh yeah, these are some of
They're
the best
parodying
opinions.
your work. Like, I mean, we're talking about the Atlantic.
yeah.
These are important
Yeah.
articles. Okay, so basically you're saying that, I mean, this kind of happened with Ron Paul a little bit, because Ron Paul came in and then that right-wing movement really took off.
The Tea Party?
The Tea Party, yeah. It took
I don't
off
think
for a minute.
that was so much Ron Paul's doing though.
You don't think so? He started that off, or like he was the first one I found, Ron Paul. And it's weird because Ron Paul,
No, because Ron Paul's more of a libertarian. I don't think
he's a
the Tea
libertarian. He's on
Party-
the other side. But to me, he is like, there's a bit of that Bernie effect on that side where it's like, and look, I don't know, like since back then, maybe he's been caught in some scandals, which Bernie could never be. Bernie is legit, right across the board.
Never say never.
You can watch the videos of his country music, whatever that music, those clips are up. His whole life is an open book, dude. We were just watching old clips from 1972. He's saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying the same thing. He's saying that these businesses, they'll go out of control if you don't keep them accountable, and we have to make sure that we are holding their, like, dude, it's the same speech he's doing in 1970, black and white, and he's just fighting from day one. He's consistent. I don't know. Ron Paul had that kind of feel. I don't know if he ended up being that, like, legit, but he came in and he seemed very principled when he came in, and he did a lot of the first talk in America of, why are we in all these wars? He really pushed that in the Republican Party. People were kind of into it, and I feel like that movement
Right. I think the
died.
Tea Party was more opposed to like the Affordable Care Act though, and
Fuck.
the Obama administration coming in, which I'm saying as a libertarian, he probably would be against it too, because it's the government getting involved in your
Yeah,
healthcare.
that was one thing I could never get on board with him, is that he really believed, like, one time he was at this Republican thing, he was doing like the debates, and even him, like with Bernie, they wouldn't let him on the debates half the time. Like sometimes Fox would be like, sorry, you didn't fill out your paperwork, sorry. Like they just fuck with him, and he'd have to get
Ron
lawyers.
Paul?
Yeah, they would fuck with him because he was too like libertarian, right? But I remember one time he was talking about healthcare, and the guy's pressing him. He's like, you'll never have healthcare. And the guy goes, what if someone could die? What if someone needs emergency help and they could die? And Ron Paul's like, well, then they die. And this Republican crowd, no, but true, this Republican crowd,
Woo!
cheering, dude. They're cheering for him. They were like, Ron Paul, we like his vision.
It's like, well, if he had a little bit of more personal responsibility in his life leading up to that point, maybe he wouldn't be dead.
That's the one thing I was just like, are you a maniac, dude? What the fuck are they looking at with their healthcare? Because they really believe, that's another, their fear of this like left-wing socialist stuff that Bernie had, that I think Corbyn had. It's like they're so afraid of it, and yet it works so much better. And it's hard to tell if it is just cold-hearted business interests just coming in and being like, hey, I'm going to lose my money if you pay. You know what I mean? Like that does seem to be what it is. But then there are these people who seem like they really believe it. Like they're really worried about communism or something.
Well, let's talk some left wing. Let's talk some real communism. Let's not even just talk left wing. Let's talk real communism.
Oh, you sent me the most commie shit the other day.
I sent you some, but from the Washington Post, and I have another thing about the Washington Post I want to say after this. But the Washington Post did an article on a state in India called Kerala.
Wow, one communist state in India, and
Kerala.
Guess who found it? This communist found it. There's one state in India that's communist. Guess who found the article? Sent it to me. Drew Picklyk. He's a communist. And dude, of course you love them.
I'm not a communist. Listen, I do want to get listen, Amish, I may be wearing a red vest right now, but I do want to get mine. Okay? I do want to get mine.
I thought you were gonna say, but I do want to get that green. But
that'd be a better thing to say. Yeah, let me re-say it. I may be wearing a red vest right now, but I do want to get that green.
Dude,
okay,
when this podcast pops off, I want to get people doing our nails, and we're in a green tracksuits, and that's it.
That I don't want to do. That to me seems a little exploitative and
What?
grotesque. But
Dude,
hey, that's
people
just
do
where I
your
stand.
nails. It's amazing.
No,
It's
but not
massage
for
too.
the show. I like to do it privately. You know what I
That's
mean? You
rude.
get it
Okay,
done.
fine. Yeah,
All you
it
gotta
is a
take
little
care of.
bit. It is a little douchey, eh?
It's a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a flex. But here's what I'm trying to
Deal.
say.
Okay.
Amish, I sent you an article. Did you read it? First of all,
Of course. Come on,
you read it?
dude. You
Did you
sent it to
read
me
it?
like an hour ago. I have
No,
not
I
read
sent
it.
it to you a couple days ago. So you
Are
didn't read
you
it. That's
really doing
fine.
this to me right now?
That's
Wow,
that's
dude.
fine. That's
Wow,
fine. Well, you're
dude.
coming at me. You're coming at me, being like,
He's
"Oh,
a
this guy sends me the most commie, yada yada yada, blah blah blah." All right, did you read the shit? Did you read the shit?
Yes. Okay. Okay. Cook
Do you want to read it right now while I talk about it? You can do that.
No, talk
Listen,
about it.
I'm not opposed.
Tell
I'm
me
not
about it. Tell me
opposed.
about it. No, while you tell me about it, you're telling the listeners about it. So that's good. That's actually good show making.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There was
Tell me, because then the listeners will hear it. That's great. That's really good.
well, the state of India. Do you know much about Kerala?
Yeah, I know they're communists. And Arundhati Roy wrote a book called The God of Small Things. It's all based in communism.
What do you
Dude,
call it?
they're
Communa?
Kerala. No,
Kerala. Oh, I
the
thought there
God,
was like a derisive name for it.
no, but I remember in Arundhati Roy's book, The God of Small Things, she was talking about like people who grew up there, and they were talking about like the communist marches would come through and stuff like that. They went commie.
Now, this is a book you've read,
I
or
read it,
someone?
dude. It's the only book I've ever read in my life. Is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. Shout out to Arundhati Roy. She's a Toronto author. She won the Booker Prize for that piece, and it's incredible. I just saw a TED Ed video
Yep.
called "Why You Should Read The God of Small Things" by Arundhati Roy. It's so good.
There's a whole TED talk about why you should read a book.
TED Education
TED
made
Education.
like this book is tight, so just read it.
I would love for TED Education to do a little thing on us, to be honest with you.
That would be great. But sorry, I cut you off though, dude. What were you going to tell me about Tell me about the Kerala article.
Yeah,
Dude.
so
Very important.
Kerala has about, I think it's like 30 million people,
Okay.
right? And they're a communist state. They've been like on and off run by the communist government since the 50s.
Yeah.
And their response compared to the rest of India, compared to a lot of the rest of the world,
Killing it.
they're saying has been phenomenal in terms of how they've
Number
been
one.
dealing with this. Here's a quote. Aggressive testing, isolating, tracing, and treating. Those are ways of containing an outbreak, said Jamil, who's also the CEO of Welcome Trust DBT Alliance, a foundation with offices in Hyderabad and New Delhi. So they've just been on top of this stuff. And I think it's kind of showing you, this is also a place, Kerala, it's in the south of India, so they attract a lot of retirees from the west.
Yeah.
It says the coastal state receives more than 1 million foreign tourists a year. 1/6 of its 33 million citizens are expatriates, and hundreds of its students study in China. So they were dealing with people coming in from outside.
Wow.
And they were on top of the testing. They were on
Yep.
top of the treatment. They were sending people food out early. A big thing that they're trying to do, like in places like New York right now, even, is like get those what's it called? Get like coronavirus detectives out there to find people who've been in contact with anyone who may have
Right.
had the virus and get them out. They also announced an economic package worth $2.6 billion to fight the pandemic days before the central government instituted a harsh lockdown that left many states scrambling.
Wow.
So they were on the ball on this, because I know we've been
Kerala
talking, and
is tight.
a lot of other things you read out of India are like, oh man, India's the ticking time bomb, density mixed with like poor infrastructure mixed with, this is another side of the story.
Kerala
right?
is on top of their shit, and a big part of it, I think, is that they are communists. And someone was saying in the Brown group chat I just did, someone was saying
Yep.
that they had like 2 years ago some kind of tsunami, some kind of thing hit them, and then they instituted some like all these universal programs of like, we just take care of like people on certain areas. Like they had a food program, and I think they had, because it was like a drought and something like crazy happened like 3 years ago. They instituted like programs that they just said, we're just going to do this forever now. It just makes more sense to feed everyone, and that's it.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
Shiba TM was just one of more than 30,000 health workers in the Indian state of Kerala, part of the communist state government's robust response to the coronavirus pandemic. Other efforts include aggressive testing, intense contact tracing, so that's what I was mentioning, like the corona detectives, instituting a longer quarantine, building thousands of shelters for migrant workers stranded by the sudden nationwide shutdown, and distributing
Wow.
millions of cooked meals to those in need. Like, think about the migrant workers, the undocumented workers, undocumented residents in the United States right now.
From
What are
Haiti,
they getting?
they're getting sent back to Haiti.
Not even from Haiti, from anywhere. Like, these are the frontline workers. The people. There was news this week that the Trump administration is cutting money for people who are picking out crops. Like, the people who are like on the front lines of the supply chain,
Wow.
they're getting a pay cut. They're getting a pay cut right now. Right? Then there's people who they pay taxes through payroll and stuff like that, but they're not eligible for any coronavirus benefits at all, right?
Wow.
So, like, look at the difference in response in terms of how do you deal with something. Listen, I don't know what it's like in Kerala, so I don't want to speak.
Dude, they're advanced people. I've met everyone I met from Kerala. I was like, dude, you're tight.
Yeah,
like,
I'll give you an example.
My cousin married a guy from Kerala. We were in Gujarat. Everyone's a goddamn capitalist. This guy started telling me about workers' rights for the first time in my life. I was in India. He started telling me about workers' rights. I said, I was like, oh my God, are we going to get in trouble? My parents own a business. We're Patels. I said, well, we're going to get in trouble? This guy said, he was the first time someone told me, he's like, who told you that we have to participate in a system like this? If you don't feel like you're doing, like he first really, like, because we're born into capitalism.
Was this here in Canada or was this over in India?
No, they're in India. They're my cousins that are in India, and like I just talked to them. My dad passed away, and then his younger brother passed away like 2-3 months later, and they're his kids. One of his daughter, like, and they've always been very modern, very like cool, like they all speak English and stuff like that, and they're all just into cool shit. And she ended up marrying a guy from Kerala. Like that's how cool. Like, dude, we're Patels. We only marry
Kerala's
Patels.
hip.
Kerala's like hot, dude.
You never went in your travels over there? You never visited?
No, I never made it down to the south. Actually, I stayed in Gujarat mostly. There was a lot to look at around there, so I never made it all the way down there. But I gotta go back now. Yeah, I gotta go. And Goa is legit too. But with Kerala, yeah, he was the first one to start telling me all this stuff. Where he's like, why do you think it has to be like that? Because we're born into capitalism. A lot of the systems, I mean, even if you think about a lot of the systems that we're a part of, contributed to this coronavirus. Like, we were a part of that system. We want cheap stuff from China or whatever. Like, we're part of a supply chain. We're this community, whatever. And we're born into a system that says it has to be like this. There's no other way. And part of this is a bunch of people over there are going to be poor and they're going to buy their meat like this or whatever. Like, that's part of the system that you grow up in and you don't know anything about it. And so anyway, and this is me growing up in Canada and in India. Like, I learned about different religions, but as far as capitalism, I was always taught that, like, this is like the only way that it could work. This is how God made it.
This is kind of what we do.
This is what we do, and this is how God make it. This is a system God make it. Like, it's part of like the.
This is how we rock it.
This is how we rock it, dude. This is how we do it. We're part of this tribe, so we're going to dominate this game, and everyone has to play this game. And that's the Patel way. But this is the first guy, Kerala, communist, and he's the first guy to be like, why do you think that it has to be like that? Like, what is, there's other ways to do things. Why couldn't some other systems work? And it was very smart, very smart. It was the first time that someone said it to me that in a way that I would actually be like, wow, all right. This guy's got a point. Is anyone listening to this? That's what I'm saying. And now with this COVID.
You went, I like it, but does it sell?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, this is the worry though, right? Like, is this just the age-old story of like, and going back to Bernie too, it's like, and Bernie and Trump being in power and seeming like it's going to be so hard to get him out of power now. And it seems like money has their claws into U.S. politics. We're living in their empire. And that money that is clawed into U.S. politics is making them very inefficient at dealing with this. And it's having an impact on the world. Like, these are our leaders, man. We talk about this, but they actually are. And their main guy is like just so shitty about it. So I forgot what I was talking about there. But I was just saying, like, I don't know.
Listen, Amish, it's on brand. Don't worry. It's on brand. But I want to say.
I'm going to to think of it in a second.
I don't
had a
know.
point
I
to
don't know
that.
how certain we can be Trump is going to get reelected, because everyone's either saying, oh, his chances are totally shot, or his approval ratings are fine.
Mhm.
Like, granted it's a pandemic.
Yeah.
My opinion of it right now
Mhm.
is we have to see how this thing plays out. I do think his reelection is going to be tied to coronavirus, 100%.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
anybody who says otherwise is foolish.
Oh, I remember my
Article
point.
out of the New Yorker the other day said coronavirus is the only global superpower,
That's it.
and I
It's like
think
we're
they're
at war.
I don't think they're wrong.
It's an attack on the market. It's like these old guys on Fox being like, "Hey, don't worry if I die. Keep the economy strong." Like they're
Yeah.
like, "Don't destroy the economy." And like, yeah, that's no, that's the point. This corona is a backdoor to communism. It's basically not literally communism, but it really is just basically like you are the leader of the world. You're too imbalanced. You can't just keep like living in a way that these people are slaves and like you have all this and destroying the environment, stuff like that. So
Well,
Mother
yeah.
Nature said, I'm going on strike. Go fuck yourself. And you better come back a little communist, you fucks. Because
Coronavirus has no concerns for capital markets. Let's say that.
that's it. Mother Earth is looking beauty right now.
I think I like that as the title, but I think that you might say it's too long. But I think that's a great title.
Mother Earth is looking like a beauty right now?
No, coronavirus has no concerns for capital markets.
Oh, great. No, you said that though, but you said it like.
No, I know, but I said I like it for the title, but I think that you've been coming at me for having too long titles. You think?
No, I think that's good.
You think my titles are a bit flowery at times?
Hey, you're a poet, dude, and we have a font that we got to put on these black cards. Shout out to our graphic designer. He is incredible. Great guy.
Matthew Dion, you just met him for the first time last
Matthew
week.
Dion, really cool dude. Actually enjoyed talking to him.
You're wearing the same sweater, actually. I noticed that. Have you changed since we last spoke?
Oh, wow. Attacks coming. No, I, you know what? I've just been going in and out of like shirts and pants, just depending on what I feel like. So this is definitely becoming a recording shirt.
Tell me a little bit about this Steezy thing you're getting into. What's that all about?
Steezy is...
Amish hits me up, says, Drew, we got to get onto Steezy. And immediately I'm like, no, but I want to know why I'm saying no.
It's a hip-hop class. They're hip-hop teachers. They teach you how to do popping and locking. They teach you how to do the gliding. Dude, 7 days free. I'm just waiting to pull the trigger because I want to get in the 7 days and then cancel it. Because I just want to make sure that I...
What if you love it, though? What if you fall in love?
Oh, if I fall in love, then, dude, $100 a year, it's not bad. Now, that is USD, which I worry about. I'm going to have maybe send him an email and be like, hey, it's Canada. Give a concession on this. But it's already discounted to 100 US a year. But
what was it initially?
It's they're doing the thing that all those internet marketing scams that I keep sending you, they all do the same thing, dude. They all put a price that's like $500. No, but for a limited time only, you get it for this price. And it's like every website is like permanently like that. Guys, stop with the pretend sale. It's like too much. Everyone's doing it.
Right. The what's it called? Free but not free. There's a name for that.
It's dude, every self-help scam that I send you, if you click on it, they have like a $900 course.
Freemium, that's what they call it. Freemium,
yeah. Everyone's doing the webinar right now. Have you been to a webinar? Like there's all these marketing webinars, there's pickup artist webinars.
Bitch, I do my own webinar twice a week with your ass. I'm not going to anyone else's fucking webinar.
I know, right? Dude, these guys are like, hey, do I got your attention? There's one guy that keeps advertising to me. He's so silly. He's like dressed as a hippie and he's like, hey, do I got your attention? Don't click on that next button because I'm going to teach you how to make $10,000 a month on Amazon. What do you think of that?
I'm going to teach you how to be a professional asshole.
You know what it is right now, dude? It's like they all bought into a pyramid scheme and they're all like, come on now, you buy it. It's the only way I'll get my money back. Please? Like, because they all bought each other's courses.
So anyway, Steezy though. Let's get into the non-pyramid scheme.
No, Steezy's a great company.
You're a guy who's trying to kick his Just Dance up to the next level. All right.
I said, hey, be a professional. Put it on TikTok. That's what I said. I'm a comedian. I got to build my social media following.
Where is your TikTok? I've been saying you got to get on TikTok for months now.
Well, hey, I want to do some training first. I want to do some training first. Steezy. And guess what? Steezy, their Instagram account, 250,000 followers. And their TikTok account, there's probably 200,000-300,000 on that too. So I think I'm making some good moves into the dance Instagram market right now, brother. This is our
Okay.
job. I'm putting on this, dude. I feel like I just found some oil. I found some good black black gold, brother.
Some Texas tea.
Texas tea. I found it. I found hits.
Okay, well,
Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But it'll be fun to dance. I like dancing.
you do like dancing. You
And I'll
dance
come out of this epidemic fucking dance moves on point, because when this ends.
Pandemic.
What did I say?
Epidemic.
Oh, pandemic. I'm sorry. So
It
when
got
we come
elevated. You know, I saw a funny sign out of Montreal. Someone said there was a business,
Mhm.
and it said stores temporarily closed, and then it said reason pandemic.
So they updated it from the epidemic
friend-
to the pandemic? They had epidemic at one point.
A while ago, they
And then they
updated from
they put
epidemic to a pandemic.
closed for reason? Pandemic. So pandemic's worse than an epidemic.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Oh, you might not have noticed there's a bit of a pandemic going on.
Tell me, why is it worse? What's the difference?
Why is
Where
it
do you
worse?
cross over? What is it? The numbers? How do you go from epidemic to pandemic? Because I have no idea.
I think it has to do with how many people around the world are affected by it.
Wow.
So I think an epidemic is
Wow, you just raised this. So we're alert level red on this motherfucker. We're damage level red. Is that what you're saying?
if we're doing the what was the thing when the Bush administration was in office?
They did like
national terror threat thing.
Oh my god. that's like the
Yeah, an epidemic is a disease that affects a large number of people within a community, population, or region. A pandemic is an epidemic that's spread over multiple countries or continents.
Wow.
An epidemic is something that belongs to a particular country or people. An outbreak is greater than anticipated increase in the number of endemic cases.
Oh, there's levels. Share the screen. Can you share it? Or you don't have that?
Nah.
That's tight.
What's the point?
Okay.
We're wrapping up, Amish. Listen,
we're wrapping up.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but
we're not getting cut off. They usually cut us off at 40 minutes, but
I think they only do that when you have more than two people. It's because of all these Rothclot guests we've had on recently. All these Babylon Rothclot guests we've been having on.
Babylon.
They've been trying to jack up the prices of this podcast, and we don't want to shift that price to the listener.
Hey,
we don't want to. We're still keeping the show free because anything otherwise would be ruinous. But we do. You know, Amish has a sponsor, so there is that.
Oh yeah, there's budmail.com. If you guys go to budmail.com, use my promo code AmishFlower. All lowercase, one word. They will give you a discount.
Once again, no affiliation with that.
People are buying and they're texting me right after. They're like, "Hey, I bought it. I used it and I got a discount. Thanks."
Yeah, not affiliated. And
guys, budmail.com. Budmail.com.
Enjoy it.
Promo code AmishFlower. I'm not associated with any selling drugs though. I'm an affiliate code, and
you're saying too much. Say less. Say less.
Say
less. Guys, I clearly have nothing to shout out to the fact that I'm growing this mustache and I will not be deterred. Okay. Perseverance. All right.
Juicy.
This is, you know, some people think that they're powerless in the face of death right now. You're wrong. Okay. You're wrong. Grow out a mustache. Be the own decider of your future. All right. Control your destiny.
Yeah. Put on a cowboy hat, silly beard. Do you, boo-boo? Do it.
Do you boo-boo? And that's all we got to do. All right. This has been a great episode of Let's Come to an Understanding. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for supporting the show. Tell your friends. Find us on Instagram. I've started a Twitter account too. Okay.
That's amazing.
So find us on Twitter. And we're trying to really prosper and grow in this time of
yeah, we want to be here for the culture.
Really.
We want to be here for the culture to do the commentary. Very important commentary that we got.
I want to be like Bill Ackman. I want to be like Wall Street hedge fund manager Bill Ackman, who made billions off of this crisis. I don't want to do that monetarily. I just want a couple more people to listen. So, you know, in my
Great
own
guy.
Bill Ackman way, I'm trying to leverage this for personal gain. But thank you guys for listening. We'll see you at the bonus episode. Special guests on the next bonus episode, so stay tuned for that.
Ooh, exciting.
And
Let's come to an
we'll see you soon.
understanding.
Thank you
Let's
so
come
much,
to an
and goodbye.
understanding. Let's come to an understanding.